It's great to really understand the history of southern Colorado, the coal mining, because that is not in any of the history books. And a lot of stuff that went on down here was kind of terrific, with all the Ludlow Massacre and then all the strikes and all the fights and how the company really didn't care about the people. It was just getting the coal out. My name is Ken Conder. I grew up in Tioga, Colorado, which is outside of Walsenburg, in a coal mining camp. I was born in 1944, so we lived in the coal camps as I was growing up. We had a lot of fun there. It was a community of roughly 300 to 500 people, and everybody worked and played together. We're right in the middle of the Tioga coal camp, and these were more or less the housing for the bosses of the mine. Well, every day, mine opened up about 8 o'clock in the morning. So Dad would get up and we have a little bit of breakfast. I went to school, he went to work, and he was one of the few miners. He worked outside, but he got awful dirty with all the coal dust and everything floating around. So he would come home after work and he would take his bath in the kitchen. It was kind of neat. And again, watching the miners go in the mine, they were a little bit different from all the different nationalities, but when they came out, they were all black. And then there was that fence, a wire fence to separate. This was another house where a family lived. And everybody had big gardens. So the paddocks, we used to hop the fence and go steal his radishes and carrots and that and eat them. Now this building was part of the school, and this is where we had all our plays, and the miners had their meetings here. It was pretty good size, and then Sundays a priest would come up from Walsenburg and they would set up an altar and that, and they would have church here every Sunday. The rock dumps is all the rock and that they had to bring out of the mine, and it was no good. So they just piled it up and made big dumps out of it. And they would get that, my dad would get that in the truck, and he would put it on the roads and that around the camp here. This area out here was a little swamp, and he actually took a shovel and that and drained it. And then I played a lot of baseball with my ma there. Because our house was right here. So yeah, this is where I played a lot. And then down there was some other areas where they would house different things for the mine, and I had slingshots and I could throw rocks from here and hit them. Boy, there's so many good memories. Growing up and learning a lot of skills with the neighbors, older kids that I played with. You was always learning something. Going with a lot of friends, we had Spaniards, we had Mexicans, Italians, Slavs, but we got to go each of their houses and got to learn their foods and their different organizations and stuff. So we got to learn a lot about our friends, and we were always together. This is where the outhouse was, and then there was rabbit pens and that, and then we kept our wood and coal back here. And then you carried it into the house for the cook stove and the stay warm and all that good stuff. They had a porch, and so you step up, I'll show you the pictures, and then you'd go in. I guess they covered up the basement because we used to put potatoes and that down there. But yeah, this is where we grew up until I was 10 years old. They always had a whistle that blew for the start of the day for the miners, and at lunchtime, and then at closing time when the shift was over. And if the whistle blew in between, we knew that there was a problem, that somebody got hurt or something happened. And I remember one guy for sure that was killed on the Tippo along with my dad. His heavy coat was caught by a conveyor belt and pulled in through a small opening. My dad's oldest brother was killed in a mine with a fallen rock, and then his dad was crushed in the mine, and he died when my dad was only 4 years old. Well, the union started way back in the early 1900s and started to organize, and what the miners went on strike for many times was better wages, better working conditions, and better safety conditions. The biggest strike was in 1914, where quite a few mines walked out, and that's what happened at the Ludlow place, and it was called the Ludlow Massacre. Being on strike, the families always had and was kicked out of the camp, so they had to find a place to go stay, and it was in tent colonies. So can you imagine being in the wintertime just in a tent? That is probably the cellar. Maybe they opened it. This is where it was dug out, where those women and children was burned up. The United Mine Workers were on strike, but the companies, they had the militia come in, and actually they set fire to the tents. And there's about 13 people that died in the tent when it was put on fire. The only thing that my grandfather said that he had to get his face with charcoal at night and then sneak out and get to either Trinidad or Aguilar to get food, and then the next day he would sneak back in so they had something to eat. But before I was born, the coal camps was run by Rockefellers, and they had the grocery stores, like I said, and the gas station. And if the miners was caught going outside, maybe 12, 14 miles down to Walsenburg to do a little shopping, if they were caught, they were fired on site. That was it. No ifs, ands, or buts. So they basically, you owed your soul to the company store. Wow. No, because they were sent down by the governor and the militia. They were the militia, so no. They never got in trouble for anything. Now the top one, that Louis Tikar, he's the one, and I can't remember his nationality, but he was the one that they were picketing or going against, and they finally killed him. And that's what really started the uproar. And see, that Lewis, he was only 30 years old, right? 43, 31, 27, 6 years. Wow. I guess the biggest hardship was, probably not being able to have much money. And so the biggest things I can think of was around the holidays, Christmas time. There was not much money, so very little under the Christmas tree, if any. It was good that the United Mine Workers, the union, would always give the families either a turkey, a ham for the holidays, so we had something pretty good to eat. So that was our holiday. I'm pretty sure that's our tree. Let's see, we would turn there. That and yeah, we probably could have lived right in here. And they dug this out. And then they put all this electrical station in here. Because the old road used to go alongside there and all the way up to where the schoolhouse was. Yeah, they tore everything up, so it doesn't even look like a coal camp anymore. But there was about 500 families that lived here. And it was a lot of fun. And of course, Walsenburg was right there. That's the end of Main Street right there, or 7th Street. So from here I used to run down to Main Street and then up to school. Probably about 2 miles maybe, I guess. Oh, now there's some black tailings there. There was one coal mine down in there. Of course, it wasn't working when we moved in here. And then the other two was on this side up here. So this whole area was a big camp. And we were one road off of the railroad tracks. And then it went uphill and they flattened everything else. And up on top is where the school was. And of course, we'd go down the ditch and play in the Carteris River. Always run around outside. Yeah, my dog is buried right down in there someplace. The only dog I ever had. Buddy. Yeah, I noticed it going by on the highway, but nothing like this. That had to be in about 58 or 60 when they made us move. Looks different.